time of your life.
A very good evening. Welcome to EFL Championship live for this Friday night fixture for the ages for Coventry City. 25 years they have waited, and they are just 1 point away from a return to the Premier League for the first time since 2001. And a Blackburn Rovers side who themselves need points at the other end of the table as they look to fend off any chances of relegation this season to League One. This kicks off the fourth to last Championship game week of the season. This Friday night, Blackburn taking on Coventry here at Ewood Park. Some huge games to come across the weekend, of course, involving sides chasing the playoffs and the relegation battlers as well. And if it doesn't happen for Coventry tonight, then Sunday at the latest could be when it will happen for them. Even Tuesday is another scenario. But we talk about the race for promotion. Well, Coventry leading the way at the top of the Championship going into match day 43. 85 points, 10 clear of second place Ipswich. And of course 73 points on third placed Millwall. Now, it means that they are very much on the brink. 12 points clear of third place, and with just 12 points left to play for. It is tonight the first chance where they can seal it and a return to the Premier League. Of course, the title still awaits, and that is to come in a few weeks. Maybe in a few days, possibly, if things go their way. These are the remaining fixtures for Coventry. Of course, Blackburn away tonight. Then they've got Portsmouth at home on Tuesday night, Wrexham at home next Sunday, and Watford away on the final day on Saturday, the 2nd of May. But of course, since Coventry were last in the Premier League, of course they were relegated in 2001. They finished 19th on 34 points. They spent then 11 successive years in the second tier of English football before relegation to League One in 2012. They didn't return to the Championship until 2020, and they also spent a year in that run in League One down to League Two back in the 17-18 season. And of course were promoted through the playoffs the first time of asking. But since returning to the Championship, well, they've got to the playoffs twice. Of course, they were beaten in the semi-final last year and of course lost the Championship playoff final back in 2023 to Luton, who secured their place in the Premier League 3 years ago. But 3 years on, it's Coventry's turn, and the playoffs aren't going to be needed this time for them. It will be, seemingly, as title winners. Speaking of the title, of course, Coventry will win the title if second place Ipswich can only reach 90 points. Now, Ipswich, with 5 games to go, they're on 75 points. So Coventry need just 6 points to secure the title. That is if Ipswich win all of their remaining games. But a win tonight and Ipswich loss on Sunday to Middlesbrough would confirm champion status for Coventry. If both sides win this weekend, well, Coventry would be champions with a win against Portsmouth on Tuesday, because their gap will be too big with too little amount of games left to play for Ipswich to catch them. So it will come within the next couple of days, it seems, but they need to secure promotion first, and that is what they're hoping to do tonight, Coventry. They've been first for the vast majority of this season, and since Middlesbrough caught up with them a few months ago, they haven't let go of first place after reclaiming it again, and it doesn't look like it's going to slip from them now. As I said, just 1 point they need to secure promotion tonight. Let's have a look at the two teams then for this one, starting with Blackburn Rovers. And of course, they've got their own ambitions for the remainder of the season. Just 3 games left to play. They've played a game more than everyone below them, and on 48 points, just 4 clear of the relegation zone, so they are far from safe. They start with with Balax Toth in goal. A back 5 of Ali Bosu, Achetson, McLaughlin, Cashin and Ribeiro. Gardner Hickman and Montgomery are in midfield, with a front 3 of Morishita, Boraji and Ohashi returns up front. For Blackburn, Pers, O'Riordan, Pickering, Deneve, Forshaw, Redmond, Hedges, Jorgensen and Afolayan all on the bench for Michael O'Neill's side. Well, for Frank Lampard, a much more familiar looking side. They've gone for a back 5, we suspect, tonight, / back 3, of Rushworth, of course, in goal, Van Eyck and De Silva as the wing backs, Latzabourier, Thomas and Kitching the back 3, Grimes the captain and Onyeka in midfield, with a front 3 of Jack Redoni, Efren Mason-Clark and Ellis Sims up front. On the bench for Coventry, Wilson, Bidwell, Wolfenden, Essay, Kessler-Hayden, Torp, Eccles, Wright and Thomas Asante. Is tonight the night that Coventry end a quarter of a century wait for a return to the top flight of English football? They've occupied every league in the EFL since, but can they return to the top flight in England? 1 point is all they need, but Blackburn will not give them that point easily at all. Kick-off at Ewood Park between Blackburn and Coventry is on the way next. A very good evening. Thank you very much for joining us for this one, this Friday evening, to kick off a fantastic weekend here in LFS, and of course lots to get your teeth into across the next number of days. Up until next Wednesday night, we will be going gung-ho with a match at least every single day, and this one certainly the perfect way to get this run off and running. Coventry City on the verge of promotion back to the Premier League for the first time in 25 years. Of course, that 0-0 draw with Sheffield Wednesday delayed it to this week, but it is about when and not if now for Coventry. That has probably been the feeling for quite a few weeks after they've gone on this incredible run, and they don't want it to be another missed opportunity tonight. A defeat would be obviously a delaying tactic, but again, it won't last too long. As we await kick-off here, a huge cohort of Coventry City fans in the away end here at Blackburn. And the Rovers get us underway here for this one. Blackburn, of course, fighting against relegation, and Coventry right at the top of the tree, looking to secure promotion. So lots on the line for these two. A perfect way to start your weekend. And it is going to be one hell of a game, I'm sure. Albeit, though, Blackburn don't particularly prove to be an opponent that Coventry don't like facing. They actually quite enjoy facing Blackburn. They've won each of the last 3 games against Blackburn without conceding a goal, Coventry. They won 3-0, 2-0 and 2-0 in the last 3 meetings, but here come Blackburn with the first chance, crossing the right side, blocked. As they try and retrieve possession, Blackburn, and recycle it. They give it away for a Coventry City throw. And of course, Michael O'Neill talked about 3 points are at stake. Well, each point is so important for Blackburn Rovers at this point of the season. As I said, they've played a game extra than everyone else around them. Means after tonight they would be played 2 games more than the teams below them. But if they can win tonight, Blackburn, they will put themselves a good 7 points clear of the relegation zone and in a bit of relative comfort. That's nicely done by Van Eyck. Finds Jack Redoni. Dribbling through a few players. Nicely set up by Onyeka for the overlap and run. It's swung in and cleared away there well by the Blackburn defender McLaughlin. There's going to be a foul here. And Ohashi was coming back from centre forward position, dropping deep and ultimately brought down. That's the free kick there for Blackburn Rovers. It was a nice play though from Coventry down that right hand side. Van Evijk very heavily involved. Ohashi trying to keep a hold of the ball, give it away, as Radoni trying to use a bit of skill to break down the line. Just run out of play there. And Jack Radoni, who's had a monstrous run of form in the last few games, albeit in his last two he's failed to score, and 2 0-0 draws of course for Coventry. But prior to that, in the 9 games before, he had only failed to be on the score sheet or assist in a game just the once. 5 goals and 3 assists in those 9 games before those 2 0-0s, which is an incredible run of form as Van Evijk wins the throw in here down the right, and a chance to go long early. Milan Van Evijk, one of the main threats from long throws this season. He's going to launch it into the area again. Drops down. It's a bit of a scramble in the area. Nicely kept alive. Van Evijk to Grimes. Loops it deep round the back post. Headed back across goal. Radoni's shot blocked. Then the follow-up is also cleared away. I have to say that's wonderful defending from Blackburn. Coventry coming so close on 2 occasions, back to back, to taking the lead. Latabaudiere with the second effort after Radoni's strike was also blocked, and an attempt to clear it away there from Blackburn. That's the threat they have, Coventry. Got so much quality further up the field, and so much threat as well from set pieces. Really, if you stop them in one scenario, there's about 3 or 4 different ways they can still score against you. That dynamic. That's why they are seemingly the best of the best in the Championship this season by quite a distance. Rushworth to Latabaudiere, who's going to bypass the midfield and try and find the run of Ellis Sims. He was held away there by Cashin. It's Blackburn settling back to Atchison, to Alabosu. Coventry try and press, but they stay on the ball here for the moment, do Blackburn, and actually run it out of play. Well, we talk about Coventry's good run. Blackburn themselves have only lost 1 of their last 6 games, albeit a relegation battling team, but have picked up 9 points out of the last 6 games, 2 wins and 3 draws. Only lost last time out to Southampton 3-0 at St Mary's, but drew the 2 games prior to that against West Brom and Stoke, and a 1-0 victory away at Birmingham, as well as a win away at Millwall as well at the start of this 6-game run. When it comes to home form, they certainly don't boast a good record. They're actually the 2nd worst side in terms of home points picked up this season. Blackburn Rovers, just 4 home wins. Only side to obviously finish below that is Sheffield Wednesday, who are yet to win at home this season. 6 draws and 15 defeats for Sheffield Wednesday. Out of their 21 home games, this is Blackburn's 22nd home game, and they've picked up just 20 points at home this season. That's 6 less than the next team in Oxford on 26 points picked up at home. So their home form certainly doesn't bode well for them, and they face tonight the 2nd best side, coming into the night, the 2nd best side in away form in terms of points picked up, on 36 out of 21 games. Coventry have picked up away from home. Only Millwall have picked up more points on the road than Coventry City. Well, Foul here, given away by Roya Morishita. And he's going to get a yellow card as well. See it again. Just kind of goes through the back of Matt Grimes, and that's definitely a yellow card. It's just a bit unnecessary, really, from Morishita. Thomas with the free kick. Launch towards the area. Did come off the head of someone in there. Of a Coventry number. And ultimately comes to nothing. Tots with the long kick. Taken down by Onyeka in midfield. And he's going to flick it forward away from the two Coventry players up there in Efren Mason Clark and Ellis Sims. And easily picked up again by Tot. Morishita. The pressure here on the ball of Blackburn possession. Cleared up the field, a bit of battling around the midfield as they keep the ball for the moment with Montgomery. Ball switched out to the right hand side. Runners on here and an early cross from the right. And Havak trying to defend, and the overhead kick by Ohashi. And that's going to be a bit aggressive there from Yuki Ohashi. He's got himself a yellow card already. And maybe lucky to get away with that. Just a bit over excited there, Yuki Ohashi. With the cross from right hand side. It just got swung back in off the left. And Ohashi going for the overhead kick. Just caught Frank Onyeka on the way through. And of course a yellow card already for the centre forward. And already getting himself into more trouble. Has to be very careful so far. Blackburn striker. Rushworth with a long kick. Done by Sims. Can't keep it again. Blackburn a bit sloppy there. They're trying to intercept as Efren Mason Clark puts a bit of pressure on to Atchison. That's going to be a Coventry City throw. Well, actually, as it stands, with Coventry currently drawing this game, they would currently, as it stands, be promoted if it stays as it is. Obviously, they don't want that to happen. They want to win the game, but as it stands, a draw, as we know, would be enough. Confirmation of that, then. It would be on 86 points, which would see them 13 clear of Millwall, with Millwall just 12 points left to play for, which would secure promotion for Coventry as it stands. But long way to go in this game. Just 10.5 minutes played. It remains goalless. Coventry with a few of the main threats so far. Blackburn having decent possession here. Morishita fades it through for Ohashi. The flag goes up though. He was a good yard offside there, Yuki Ohashi. Comfortably in the end, caught by Rushworth the strike, but he was offside anyway, so it didn't really matter. Venevike. A bit loose there from Latsabodiere when Rushworth makes sure it doesn't go out for a corner. It should have been very cheaply given away there by Coventry. Long kick by Latsabodiere, but again they're going long a few times, Coventry, and they're just trying to bypass the midfield press, but going too long. Very hard for Ellis Sims to really get any sort of contact to hold up the play further forward. Ohashi again trying to make a nuisance of himself, and ultimately his header Bounces out for a Coventry throw. Michael O'Neill watching on. Well, Blackburn are winless in the last 10 league games against Coventry. Drawn 5 and lost 5 since a 4-0 away win in October 2020 in Coventry's first season back in the Championship. Which just goes to show that if that record holds, Coventry would be secured promotion tonight. Here is Morishita up against Kitching. He's trying to get a hold of Morishita. Does well there to lay it back to Alibiosi. Biosi across, and Hashi's header was just a little bit away from him, and Rushworth was able to claim, but good opportunity from Ryan Alibiosi. Great cross from the with the left foot, clapped in, and Hashi making the run. He's done enough, and just very little contact, and easy enough for Rushworth to get on the end of, but very easy there for Blackburn to create a real gilt-edged chance. Just not quite at the races so far, Coventry. Albeit they've had more possession and had all the shots to this point, but have looked a little bit vulnerable to Hashi's runs and threat further forward so far. He's worked his team back into possession here, Yuki Hashi. Runner Hickman plays it out to Alibiosu. Down the left or right hand side, sorry. Into Morishita. Has to lay it back out to Alibiosu. Whips it in this time. Baraji was the target, and Hashi was in the mix too. There's a Coventry player down. It's going to stop play. A little clash there, I think. And that's going to be an issue the referee has to resolve here. As couldn't quite see who the Coventry player is, but he's holding his head. And the referee does have to automatically stop the game in that circumstance. And referee Lewis Smith this evening, as we see this again. Alibiosu with this opportunity for Ohashi, who is onside. It's Venevik playing him on. And he just makes his run perfectly, but any more contact on that header would have been a real danger to Rushworth. And ultimately, in the end, just kind of glances kind, really. It's very little contact from Ohashi. Rushworth just having a chat with his defenders at the minute while a player receives treatment. Is it Latabodier, I think, maybe? I'm trying to think of... I can't see the number, so I have no idea who it is. Moments. No, it's not Latabodier because he's standing watching it, so... Is it Onyeka, maybe? It's down. Nonetheless, the Coventry City player, it's still receiving treatment for the moment. 15 minutes gone here at Ewood Park. Blackburn Rovers 0, Coventry City 0. Oh, look at this. Ellis Sims, the only player without a touch in the game, and I kind of said that they've tried to target him at times, Coventry, with those long balls up the top, but they've just overhit them. Not been able to find their centre forward just to this point. And he's the only man without a touch so far, Ellis Sims, as Frank Onyeka returns to his feet after that little collision. I think it was the collision with the head of Baraji. And Onyeka up and okay, thankfully. Should be okay to continue, but of course will be under constant watch from the physios while he's on the sidelines. So Coventry down to 10 for the moment then. Ball down the left hand side. Here's Baraji trying to work in behind Venevik, who did really well there. Milan Venevik to win the throw-in off Baraji. Of course, Coventry trying to take as many seconds out of the clock as they can to allow for Frank Onyeka to be checked up and allowed back onto the field. And he is being checked and is back into the action, Frank Onyeka. And he's switched out to the left here. He's right on the ball now, Onyeka. On the left channel. Runs into trouble. And goes down wanting a foul. Referee said no. And he gets back to his feet quite quickly. Van Ewijk intercepts a poor loose pass from Gardner Hickman. Van Ewijk down the right side. Early cross deep, and the dangerous cross, but just a little ahead of Sims. And then Efren Mason-Clark making the run in behind as well. Just a little heavy. Lovely run by Milan Van Ewijk. Swung it in early and maybe just a little too close to the goalkeeper. And the goalkeeper didn't actually want to go for it. Decided just to leave it and let it run for the goal kick, but that's the threat. So far so good though for the visitors who are posing threats, but yet to have a shot on target as of yet. Coventry, compared to their opponents who've had only one shot, and it was on target from Ohashi. It is Morishita down the right hand side. Swung in early, it's back post, Baraji cuts it back across. Onyeka gets his head to clear it away. And then Radoni shoved over in his own half. That's going to be a free kick. And it's going to break up the pressure. But again, the runners from wide, Baraji on the left and Morishita on the right for Blackburn, causing Coventry problems at the minute. Ultimately the foul given away by Gardner Hickman to Radoni was what broke that whole spell of pressure apart. Rushworth goes long with a free kick. Down the right channel. Again, easily brought in though by Coventry, who take control of the ball once more. Well, one key focus point as well about the Coventry squad is they do have that quality of players that have played in the Premier League. There was a stat prize of the game that was put up on the screen, and it was Frank Onyeka has over 70 appearances in the Premier League, so there's that experience at the top flight that will certainly bode well for them next season. Albeit they're not there yet. We have to what's the word? I forget the word now, all of a sudden. I have to kind of bookend it in that sense that they aren't there yet, but as I said earlier, it's about when, not if, really, for Coventry now. Onyeka here. Back to Latabodiere. Onyeka. A bit of movement here as Radoni strides onto the ball and runs into trouble, but wins the throw-in out of it. As I was saying about Jack Radoni, I remember we watched the game against Derby on Good Friday. Jack Radoni come off the bench that night and just turned the game around for Coventry, a game which probably at that point when Ben Burton Diaz in the first half kind of brought Derby back into the game, in the second half Derby probably had the better of it. He just come off the bench, Jack Radoni, and completely changed the game. Scored 2 goals late in that match to ultimately secure a 3-2 victory for Coventry. Here's Van Ewijk down the right hand side. Plays it back into midfield. Latabodiere pushing forward along with Bobby Thomas. Right to the left hand side it comes to De Silva. Links up down that left side with Efren Mason-Clark. Bids a bit of pressure, and Clark's delivery towards Radoni. Half cleared. Drops to Grimes on the edge of the area. Evading pressure as Onyeka brought down but no foul. Breakaway here for Montgomery. As De Silva and Grimes both trying to chase but still can't get to the ball, and Montgomery goes for the early cross. And a bit of a loose one there from Rushworth, but he does get the catch to the ball. The second time of asking, but it's a good effort there from Christy Montgomery. Blackburn midfielder strode almost the whole length of the pitch. Get them into a decent position, but ultimately no breakthrough there for Blackburn. It will be a concern though for Coventry. It will be something they'll need to be very careful of, because they are that team that can dominate the ball, push so high up the pitch. They can leave themselves a little bit exposed to the counter-attack, and as it was given there, Frank Onyeka went down wanting a foul. Wasn't given by the referee, and instantly Blackburn were away. Albeit they recovered well, Coventry, but it's got to be careful of those moments. Radoni does well evading two players chasing him. Venevik, he's double covered now, so he tries to evade pressure. Ultimately, Ribeiro intercepts. And a bit of pressure here on McLaughlin. He does clear his lines. Atchison over the top. Nice link up with Ohashi to Morishita. And a skip past De Silva. Morishita does well. Nutmegs. De Silva as Ohashi was waiting on the cross. Too deep. But some real positive signs for Blackburn in the last few minutes. Showing some real threat as they win it back again in midfield. And Ohashi there couldn't get himself anywhere near back on side. Yeah, just been a little bit loose when it comes to the final third, Blackburn. But other than that, they've done really well in midfield. Winning the ball back on a number of occasions. Using those wide players to break forward, and it is Morishita that time down the right hand side. Again, his cross just too close to Rushworth. Well ahead of Ohashi, but the threat is there. If they can pinpoint and get the right delivery. Ohashi is the threat on the end of it. Of course, Yuki Ohashi, who's returns to the starting 11 this evening. Hasn't scored though since a 2-1 defeat to Bristol City here back at the end of February. Hasn't scored in any of his last 9 appearances for Blackburn Rovers. Just scored 8 championship goals this season. As Yuki Ohashi. He has been involved in quite a lot of the games. Started 43, or played 43 of the 44 games that Coventry and Blackburn have been involved in this season. So he's been very key up front. Bit of Coventry possession here. 24.5 minutes gone. Still goalless here at Ewood Park. On the night where Coventry very likely to be promoted back to the Premier League for the first time in 25 years. Looking to become a Premier League side since the start of the millennium. 2001 they were relegated. Of course, if we go all the way back to that point and do it a bit of reminiscing, of course I wasn't born, so not to really make anybody feel old, but back in 2001 Manchester United were the champions, won the league by 10 points against Arsenal. Leeds finished in the top 4 that year. Ipswich, who are just below Coventry tonight in the table, actually finished 5th in the Premier League that season, which is mental to think about. Also in that season, Manchester City were relegated in the same season Coventry were back in 2001. They finished 18th, City, on the same number of points as Coventry, who finished 19th and were also relegated, along with Bradford City, who now play their football in League One and look themselves to spring back to the Championship through the playoffs this season. Here's Jack Radoni breaking into the box, and a shot swipes outside the side netting. Couldn't really cut it back across goal. We see it here, ball swung down the left hand side. Efren Mason-Clark, beautiful first touch, finds it into Jack Radoni, just skips away from the challenge, and as he gets around the edge of the 6-yard area, wide on that left, beats past his defender and just kind of toe pokes it into the side netting. Doesn't get his foot wrapped around the ball to cut it back across goal, but decent chance there for Coventry. Maybe just taking a firm control of the game in the last few minutes. As I said, they need to find that target. What a job Frank Lampard has done, as we see him in screen there. Won 43 of his 78 games in charge of Coventry. He's lost 20. And a points tally per game of 1.85. Couldn't read the screen there. Here's Alabiasu with the cross on top of the crossbar with the header. I think it's Ohashi, is it? Oh, goodness me. It's Alabiosu with the cross here on the right hand side. He skips past De Silva, clips it in, and Yuki Ohashi with a free header right off the crossbar. Rushworth was beaten, and the woodwork denies Blackburn a lead on the night that could be so crucial. Ultimately denied by the crossbar. But again, that threat from the wide areas, and it's Alabiosu, the wing back for Blackburn this time with the cross. He had a dangerous cross to Ohashi earlier in the game that Ohashi did get his contact to as well. That was easily caught by Rushworth, and then that one as well. They come off the crossbar. Those two linking up has looked very dangerous for Blackburn so far. No breakthrough. They have a free kick here inside the Coventry half to Blackburn. Albeit Coventry have had 65% of the ball, but the XG, it's actually Blackburn winning on the XG 0.52 to 0.50, albeit very little difference, but shows the Blackburn with less of the possession, much less of the possession, still looking a threat. They have a free kick here, deep, around about the halfway line. They actually take it short, which is a strange decision. Alabiosu finds it wide. Montgomery challenged again by De Silva and Grimes, and Matt Grimes does just enough to evade the corner being given there. Doesn't alleviate the pressure that Blackburn are posing all of a sudden. Baraji down the left hand side, clips it back across, and Rushworth was quick off his line to retrieve, but again in the wide areas Coventry are looking a little bit exposed. One point you can make though for Blackburn at this point, very much keeping themselves in a game. They need to find themselves a goal if they want to really equate this real good spell to anything tangible. Remember, it doesn't really matter how well you play if you don't actually take advantage of it. Find the net, you play really well and still come up short, especially against this Coventry team. You can create a goal from nothing. Here's De Silva. Down the line, Radoni's come wide. Radoni trying the low cross. Almost caught out Atchison there all of a sudden, but he got it cleared. As Venevek retrieves. And the game is just ebbing and flowing. Coventry have had their spells, Blackburn have had their moments. Frank Lampard with me too, please. That's a nice ball in behind. Ellis Sims breaks away from his man, cuts it across. Still not fully cleared. Atchison did get some contact to it, but Onyeka keeps it. Finds Venevek. That was better though. The first time we've really seen Ellis Sims look a threat in behind. As Latabaudiere comes wide. Plays it in field to Venevek, who stayed central. Grimes. Bobby Thomas back to Matt Grimes. Going to cross it this time. Lays it out wide to Onyeka. Back to Grimes again. Drifting forward. Way through there. Back to Thomas. Drifting forward. Striding forward. Try to roll it back, but Coventry keep the pressure on. Onyeka flicks into the area. Little flick back for Mason Clark. And the bit of defending there needed to be done. I think the flag was up anyway. McLaughlin made the challenge, but Ella Sims might have just strayed offside. Again, we see it here on Yeka's ball. Might have been Efren Mason-Clark just offside, actually. Again, great first touch towards Sims, and good defender by McLaughlin. The flag went up in Blackburn's favour on that occasion. Need a little bit more cutting edge in the final third to Frank Lampard's Coventry so far. Struggled to really pose much of a threat to Balázs Csalszkó, the Blackburn goalkeeper. Yet to face a shot on target so far, which will be a slight worry for Frank Lampard. Coventry side who quite unusually haven't scored in any of the last two Championship games. Away at Hull, of course, on Easter Monday, and then last weekend against Sheffield Wednesday, drew 0-0 at home. Great point for Sheffield Wednesday, but certainly 2 points dropped for Coventry. Barrow trying to go for the switch. Closed off as Blackburn down the right hand side. Baraji lays it out wide here. Ribeiro back to Baraji. Where is this game going to turn next? Both sides creating chances. Who will land the first blow of tonight's match? Ribeiro, Baraji, Cashin, back to Ribeiro. As Morishita comes to the left side, trying the early cross, blocked by Bobby Thomas, and Evike was a little loose, trying to find Jack Radoni. Radoni beaten to the ball by Baraji. Positive from Blackburn. They're looking strong at the moment. That ball's seen at a play by Van Evike for a throw, but again, looking dangerous to the home side. Nice little 1-2s here. Morishita gets the brick of the ball. Edge of the area. Just inside the box as he works an angled across. Cleared away at the back post. Gardner-Hickman retrieves. Atchison. Back to Gardner-Hickman. Steps onto his left. Feeds it through down the right. Let death ball back across. And Van Evijk with the necessary challenge. Denying Blackburn Rovers. And it will be a corner. Really good football though. The ball swung back across. Great ball by Ohashi. Back into the area, and Van Evijk with an incredible challenge. Deny what would have been a great chance for Blackburn. The home side are looking very strong at the moment, and they're getting that response from the home cohort that are in here. Not full capacity by any stretch, but making the noise at the moment. A nervous looking Coventry City end at the moment. As from the corner, they go all the way back towards midfield. Ball swung in early from the right and too close to Carl Rushworth, who had comfort on his side there. Well, they're without a win at home, Blackburn, in the last 4, albeit they've drawn each of the last 3 home games and each of the last 2 by a 0-0 scoreline. Their last home win was against Preston back on the 20th of February. That was off the back of another home win, back-to-back home wins then, against Sheffield Wednesday and Preston, both by a 1-0 score. In terms of Coventry, up until that Hull game, they'd actually won each of their previous 4 away from home. Against West Brom, Sheffield United, Bristol City and Swansea. And then that 0-0 draw to Hull. Their last away defeat was against QPR at the end of January for Coventry, and a 2-1 defeat at Loftus Road. Grimes. Radoni. Grimes. And the work angles here. Lots of booty air to Radoni. Trying to find Van Evijk further forward, but heavy touch lets it down there. Coventry City. Again, Blackburn back on the ball. Swung down the left channel. How to play there it will be, and no time wasted by Coventry. 8 minutes to go of the first half. Still goalless here at Ewood Park. Of course, Blackburn would love to be back at the top flight. That was quite a few years ago since they were in the Premier League. 14 years to be exact, since 2012. They were last relegated from the Premier League. Blackburn, of course, were the champions all the way back in 1995. Blackburn Rovers, who could believe back then where they would be, trying to stay out of the relegation battle in the Championship. Coventry actually finished 16th that season when Blackburn were the champions of the Premier League. Finished on 50 points in 16th. That was back when the Premier League had 22 teams. And 4 were relegated. 3 of those teams that were relegated on that day are all Championship sides now. Norwich, Leicester and Ipswich. Crystal Palace, the only other, was relegated in that season. They're of course still in the Premier League. But I think a lot of the time you can't really diminish the story of Coventry really over the last few decades, and certainly I think in the last decade where they were in the doldrums in League One back in 2016. They were relegated to League Two in 2017 and found themselves in the 4th tier in that 17-18 season, and within 2 years of that they were back into the Championship. From 2018 to 2020 was their rise back to the 2nd tier. Taking time to rebuild and got to Championship playoffs a few times. Playoff final once, which they lost of course, but that rise over the last decade from the 4th tier to on the verge of being champions less than 8 years later is an incredible job. An incredible turnaround of a football club. Radoni caught there by Ribeiro. Actually takes it quickly there, Jack Radoni, not wasting any time. Coventry trying their best to make something work here as the ball skids off the surface out to the left. Too much for Jay De Silva to get anywhere near the end of. Goal kick it will be. Or throw in, sorry, it will be. To Blackburn. One down the left here by Jay De Silva, and he wins the throw in here for Coventry. Natabodia. Back to Bobby Thomas and across to Kitching. Kind of feel like if Coventry do get the opener, it will be kind of like opening the floodgates, but well, it stays as it is. Blackburn are doing quite a stellar job at the minute, not only keeping Coventry at bay but threatening to take the lead themselves, the home team, which of course Coventry can't afford to do tonight, is lose the game. That would delay their promotion confirmation till at least Sunday. There's going to be a free kick here. Ribeiro was brought down by Bobby Thomas, both chasing towards the Coventry goal. And Thomas just making contact with his opposite number. And that's going to be a free kick. Yeah, you see it here. The referee just wanting to let it run. And the foul ultimately coming to nothing. But the referee took a second or two to make the decision though, but in the end has given the free kick. Three minutes of normal time to go. Ribeiro over this as Garner Hickman is the one to take it. Swung down the left to Morishita. Tracked all the way by Van Evijk, and Morishita lost his balance, allowing Van Evijk to win the ball back and to win a Coventry throw. Morishita a little bit bemused by the decision for a Coventry throw there. Couldn't believe it. It looked like it did come off him last, but see it again. Can't really tell from that angle. Long ball by Thomas. Over the run of Sims. Van Evijk there to pick up the second ball. Plays it into Sims. Sims back to Radoni. Better play here from Coventry. Radoni out wide to De Silva, who whips it in, and Sims just got some contact to it. Half cleared by Blackburn. From Mason Clark. Drops for De Silva, calls a handball. Referee says no as they play on. Van Evijk. Swung one round the back, and the chance off target from Efren Mason Clark. Well, the crowd, the home crowd, certainly not happy. They wanted a handball against Jay De Silva. Ultimately not given. And we see the other chance there, that delivery, and Efren Mason Clark did get contact to it with the right boot, but just doesn't direct it on target. Wide it goes. Last minute of the first half, and Coventry have continued to pose threat, but not clear-cut chances being created anywhere near enough for the visitors to try and break through this Blackburn side. Blackburn side have looked stubborn and strong defensively so far in this first half. Ball swung over the top. Radoni brought down. That's going to be a free kick. Cashin with the foul. As we're going to find out how long will be added on at the end of this first half here. At the moment, there'll be 3 added minutes at the end of the first 45 here. Frank Lampard watches on from his seat as he's just got up there off the bench to watch this free kick. Jack Radoni is going to take it on the right hand side. Left-footed delivery, swung in, cleared away at the near post, and Morishita picks up here, up against Radoni. Morishita feeds it down the line, and Montgomery was chasing, but the ball rolled out of play for a throw. Mazabodier. Grimes. They're continuing to pose threat, as I said, Coventry, but it's not cutting edge at the moment. It's looking a little bit off it in the final third, and surely they would be desperate for a goal at this stage. Haven't scored, as I said, in each of their last 2 games, so need to find something, but they've given it away here. It's a 3v4, ball into the box. Ohashi blocked, and the follow-up is stolen away from him at the last second as Van Evijk clears away from danger, but again Blackburn looking dangerous and Coventry looking vulnerable. And another chance for Yuki Ohashi that isn't taken in the final third. And how many chances is he going to want to have Coventry don't give up many chances. And when they do give you an opportunity, you have to take it. Because they won't be this vulnerable, this open, and this forgiving in the second half, Coventry, as they have been in this first half to the Blackburn Rovers. Yeah, it's a lovely ball by Alabiosu. He's having an incredible game, by the way. No, Hashi, just again, makes a hash of it. Two big chances. And ultimately, unable. Doesn't really have his shooting boots on tonight, you gotta say, Yu-Gi-Oh! Hashi. Couple of headed efforts and a couple of chances with his foot. And he can't take them. Well, Coventry get one last chance before the half. Here's Van Evijk. Seconds remain of the first half here. Well, they're just going to recycle it and see it into half time. Kinda. And there is the half-time whistle. So 45 minutes down. And Blackburn Rovers are holding Coventry. But it doesn't matter at the moment, because a draw would be enough to see Coventry back to the Premier League. At the moment, they're 45 minutes away from returning to the promised land, the top flight of English football. And at the moment, they have had to work for this goalless draw at the break. Blackburn have had chances. Coventry have looked a little bit off it up the field. But at the moment, no damage done to either team. Half-time, it's Blackburn Rovers 0, Coventry City 0. Sure, one last kick. This is gonna be it. This is the moment. Vicario kicks this. And Liverpool are there. Liverpool are Premier League champions. And there it comes. Crystal Palace, for the very first time in their history, are FA Cup winners. Oh, he's found the net. Oh, what a goal! Kvaratskhelia is through, wants to add a fourth, and does so. Ahmad, oh my goodness me! That is absolutely unbelievable. Race again. Oh! You thought he couldn't beat the first one. He's gone and bettered it. Another whip ball in. The header is in by Virgil van Dijk. Incredible.
Remember, you don't get it twice. The time of your life.
Welcome back to EFL Championship live half-time at Ewood Park. Forgot where we were there. At Ewood Park, it's half-time. It is Blackburn Rovers 0, Coventry City 0, and as it stands, that would be enough to see Coventry return to the Premier League for the first time since 2001. 86 points is enough, as Millwall can only get to 85 is their maximum, which would mean that Coventry, as I said, only need 86 points, and at the moment, with a draw, they would be achieving that tally. And certainly, if it doesn't happen tonight, remember, if they lose tonight, Coventry, then it could all come to them if Millwall, of course, fail to beat QPR at home tomorrow. But then, if that doesn't prevail, and say, for example, Coventry lose tonight, and then Millwall win tomorrow, then it would be Tuesday night at the earliest that Coventry could get promoted, because they would beat their opponents on Tuesday night. Portsmouth, then they would be clear and have enough points. So that is the scenario, but at the moment, a point is enough to see them through to the Premier League for the first time in 25 years. Now, a reminder for you of what their title hopes could be. Now, of course, currently, Ipswich are the second place team. They can only get to 90 points, Ipswich. Of course, if Coventry win tonight and Ipswich lose on Sunday when they play, Coventry will be champions. So it can happen this weekend. They just need 6 points in total to secure the title. That will be, say, 3 points tonight. And then an Ipswich loss on Sunday would equate to that 6-point difference, which would give Coventry the title on Sunday. Of course, Ipswich play Middlesbrough at lunchtime on Sunday, but they would need to win tonight for that to be the case this weekend, Coventry. But if both sides win this weekend, Coventry would be champions with a win against Portsmouth on Tuesday, because there wouldn't be enough games left at that stage for Ipswich to catch Coventry, even if they did win the remainder of their games, Ipswich. So that is the case for Coventry to win the title. Could be as early as Sunday, but Tuesday at the likeliest hood if they win tonight, Coventry, of course. A draw tonight would make it a little bit more interesting, because if they draw tonight, Coventry, and then Ipswich win on Sunday, that would be a 8-point gap, which would mean they wouldn't be guaranteed the title on Tuesday. They would have to win to secure that title on Tuesday. So it's all well within the realms of possibility that would happen with the next couple of days. It could be a monumentous next couple of days for Coventry City, certainly. If we look at the bottom half of the table, though, we talked a lot about Coventry's promotion hopes, but remember, Blackburn are in a relegation battle of their own, and if we go to the bottom of the table, a point will be really big for them as well. If we go down to the bottom, so of course already relegated Sheffield Wednesday, Leicester on 41 points, Oxford on 44, West Brom on 46, Portsmouth on 48, and as it stands, with Blackburn drawing, they would be on 49. That would be level with Charlton in 18. So they would move themselves up a place, Blackburn. But of course, remember, this is their 44th game of the season. The rest of the teams around them will play their 43rd game this weekend. So it would mean even a draw tonight would still put them in danger of possibly being 17th at the lowest. Come the 21st at the lowest come the end of this weekend if West Brom and Portsmouth both win their games, which would be their 43rd games, and they would still have a game in hand over Blackburn. So they do need to still pick up some points and have that disadvantage of already played an extra game. Blackburn, their next two, by the way, after tonight, away at Sheffield United and at home to Leicester on the final day. Could that be a place that we'll be focusing ourselves on the final day, Saturday the 22nd of May, remember, at 12:30, all league games in the Championship will kick off for the final time this season. All 24 teams playing their 46th game of the season on the 2nd of May. But before all that, there's still a lot to come here tonight, including this at the weekend It all starts here, the run-in on LFS between now and the end of the season, and 5 huge Premier League games will come between now and next Wednesday. It's tomorrow at lunchtime. We've Brentford against Fulham in a London derby. Two sides chasing European football this season. They face off tomorrow lunchtime. The huge game on Sunday at 4:30. Manchester City, Arsenal, the title decider seemingly there at the Etihad on 4:30 on Sunday. Monday night sees another London derby. Crystal Palace taking on West Ham. West Ham looking to avoid relegation, and Palace should be clear enough away from that. Maybe get themselves into a late push for Europe if they can, Palace. On Tuesday night, Brighton take on Chelsea on the south coast. Chelsea chasing Europe, as are Brighton. Chelsea leading the charge in the race for Europe. And Burnley looking to avoid relegation. They are very much near being relegated. They could be relegated possibly on Wednesday night if things go against them before that at the moment. And they play hopeful champions Manchester City on Wednesday evening. That is the run-in that gets underway tomorrow lunchtime. And so much to come in the run-in over the next number of weeks as we look to close out the 25-26 season. And 45 minutes to go here at Ewood Park, where Coventry City are looking to close out their season with 3 games to go and a promotion security tonight. If they get at least a draw, they will be Premier League again. And that is, and would be, an incredible feat for this Coventry City side. But I have to say, they've had to work to keep it at 0-0, Coventry, at times, and needed a bit of luck to go there, really. Blackburn had quite a number of chances in that first half, and maybe a little lucky to not be behind at the moment. Coventry. By the way, no changes at half-time between either side, so as you were for this second period. Remember as well, there's a big game going on in Northern Ireland tonight in my home country. Glentoran against Larne in the Irish Premiership. Larne can be crowned champions tonight if they win against Glentoran at the Oval. At the moment it's 0-0, so I'll keep a very close eye on that one. But if Larne win tonight, they will be the Irish Premiership champions. Jay De Silva. Back to Bobby Thomas it comes here for Coventry. That's about the air trying to launch it down the right. Van Eyck on the run and he cuts it across towards Ellis Sims. Trying for the acrobatic one. Half cleared, and the free kick's actually going to go the way of Blackburn as the captain there, Sean McLaughlin, was tackled by Ellis Sims trying to go for the acrobatic strike. Again, this ball that we saw quite a number of times by Latabaudiere in the first half didn't work out very often at all. This ball really nicely taken in by Van Eyck on the right flank. And as he swings it across, Ellis Sims just tries to go for the acrobatic. In the end, catches McLaughlin. And that's going to be a free kick to Blackburn Rovers. But ultimately, a chance there for Coventry. And Ellis Sims, who's really struggled to get anywhere near the threat this evening, has his first real notable impact in the final third of the evening. And it was to give away a free kick. It's kind of seemed like the starting centre forward for Coventry over the last number of games hasn't really done the job for them. You've got to say, it's been kind of use of their subs that's kind of got Coventry in strong positions. If we go back to that derby game, Ellis Sims came off and Haji Wright came on, changed the game. Ephraim Mason-Clark come off the bench and Jack Radoni all come off the bench in that game and completely turned it on its head for Coventry in an attacking sense against Derby. Even against Hull, their attack really was lacking. Brought Ellis Sims and Jack Radoni off the bench that night, albeit it didn't turn into goals, but they come on and showed their threats. Usually the subs bench is where Coventry have had their joys in recent games to win them and to get results. That's a lovely switch ball out to De Silva, who flicks it across to Efren Mason-Clark, blocked by Atchison, picked up by Grimes. Now De Silva finding Rodoni. Kitching. Bobby Thomas to Liam Kitching. And the left to Grimes, who's gone wide. Finds De Silva. Nice combination play that from Coventry as De Silva makes the underlapping run. Chops onto his left, comes back outside Efren Mason-Clark. Mason-Clark. And clogged up by 3 players as it swung back to Matt Grimes, who will go for the deep cross. Cut back and cleared away. Better though from Coventry. Bobby Thomas in a bit of danger there, and he was helped out by a pull, and as was Onyeka pulled back. And there's a bit of emotions bubbling under there between Onyeka and Ribeiro there. Referee just making sure all is okay. Lewis Smith just making sure both players understand the impact of what they've just been doing. Clashing heads unnecessarily, and they're both going to get a yellow card, it seems, for such contact. I think that's what's going to happen. They're both going to get booked here. The referee's got the yellow card out. So Frank Onyeka in the book, as is Yuri Ribeiro. It's just a bit unnecessary, really, between both players. Both get put into the referee's book for such involvement. Blackburn with a long clearance. Bobby Thomas tracking back, gives back to Rushworth. Rushworth with a bit of pressure there from Ohashi. Gets rid of it quickly. Bobby Thomas finds Onyeka in midfield. Nice hold up with Rodoni. Down the right side, that one just trundled out of pitch room there, ahead of Milan Venevijk. He was trying to keep the pressure on. Cashin was there to make sure it went across the sideline. Well, Michael O'Neill, I think, will be pretty pleased with how his side have played so far in this game. I think would have been really pleased with the first half performance. Coventry will give more, push more, look to try and win it tonight to more than secure their promotion and then leave them within 3 points of the title as well. Grimes. De Silva. Grimes. Back to Bobby Thomas. Coventry dominating the possession. Moving it a lot quicker in this second half. Onyeka. Venevijk. Onyeka went down again, and he's going to get the foul this time, as he was caught late. He laid the ball back to Van Eyck, and Ribeiro with the unnecessary challenge. Free kick to Frank Onyeka and Coventry. A much louder Coventry away support in the second half. They were loud early in the game. Blackburn's pressure down this end of the field in the first half maybe just quietened them down a little bit, but they've saw their team start well in this second half and are right back up with the noise. Matt Grimes to take this free kick. They're bouncing in the away ends. Much they would love to deliver a goal here, Coventry. Swung in by Grimes, cleared away at the front post. Oh, and a little bit caught out there. On the counter-attack, Blackburn could be away. Big chance here, Ohashi. Just hanging on, Morista trying to help in support. Ball comes back to Alabioso. Alabioso, who's been the main threat all four, with his crosses. Bit of a deflection, and it's bundled in. Blackburn Rovers take the lead. Yuki Ohashi, I believe it is, or is it? It's Morishita. And Blackburn Rovers break the deadlock. And this could be priceless for their push to stay in the Championship and evade relegation. Well, Coventry fans came here to have a party of their own tonight. Well, Blackburn are just about spoiling that party. As it stands, Coventry won't be promoted tonight. And Blackburn, at the moment, will be claiming a huge 3 points. Again, it's Alabiosu. He does really, really well. You think he's going to put the cross in a couple of times. He's really patient. Gets the ball and gets a little bit of luck on the deflection. And it's Rui Morishita that just gets something to it here. Ball drops to him. He gets it off with the left foot. Deflects off Bobby Thomas, I think it is. Beats Rushworth in the goal. Wrong-footed completely. And you have to say, with the pressure they had in the first half, Blackburn, with all the threat they had in front of goal in the first half, Blackburn, they more than deserve this lead. And a lead that means so much to them. A lead that would put them right at the top when it comes to battling against relegation and trying to get themselves well away from that trouble. 51 points they would be on with a win tonight. That would put them 7 clear of Oxford United in the relegation zone. Albeit would have played 2 games more than their other opponents as it stands. But 7 points is a huge gap. A gap bigger than the points they would have to play with between now and the end of the season, Blackburn. That is how strong their gap is. But will this only entice Coventry more? We said about Blackburn's threat on the counter, how Coventry commit so many bodies forward, can leave themselves a little open and vulnerable at the other ends. And they got a little bit sloppy in trying to recycle a bit of possession. Blackburn broke away. And they in the end find the strike, albeit with a bit of help in the area with a deflection. But they all count. And when you're down towards the bottom, you need every little helping hand you can get. And Blackburn have surely deserved it to this point. Radoni, De Silva, for Mason Clark couldn't keep a hold of the ball as Blackburn clear their lines and out for a Coventry. Oh, actually, I thought it was going out for a throw. Bounce back in. And Bobby Thomas plays it back to Carl Rushworth. Well, now it's 34 minutes for Coventry to at least get a goal, rescue a point at least here away at Ewood Park to secure promotion. Remember, if it had finished 0-0, they would have got promotion automatically tonight. But with a deficit, that will have to wait until at least Tuesday, you would suspect. Albeit with Millwall playing tomorrow. As I mentioned at half-time, if Coventry were to lose tonight and Millwall were to lose tomorrow, then it would be done and dusted. If Millwall were to fail to beat QPR at the Den tomorrow, then it would be over. But that would only be the case if Southampton weren't able to catch, and Middlesbrough, who are both on 72 points. They would also have to drop points this weekend for Coventry to secure promotion this weekend, because Millwall then wouldn't be the third place team if they were to drop points in Middlesbrough and Southampton were to both win their respective games. Middlesbrough play against Ipswich on Sunday and Southampton away to Swansea tomorrow at 3 o'clock. But at the moment, they don't want to worry about that, Coventry. You don't need to worry about other teams. They haven't really had to worry about other teams all season and what they've been doing. It's been about focusing on their own task. And tonight, it's get anything out of this game, any point or 3 points, by any which means, and you're promoted. But they've known troubles and trials and tribulations before, these fans. They've been through the absolute ringer over the last 25 years. They know that it's never going to come easy for them. And with 32 minutes, less than just over a third of the game to go, They find themselves a goal down and needing at least a point to secure a return to the top flight. And it looks like there's going to be some changes from Frank Lampard and Coventry in a moment or two. It has been in a second half where they have looked a threat again, Coventry, and looked dangerous, but without a shot in the second period. They've had 86% possession, but haven't created anything at the top end of the pitch in terms of tangible opportunities. And that's what really comes down to. All the possession with no threat at the minute, Coventry. As Efren Mason-Clark definitely touched that one last, and that will be a Blackburn Rovers throw. And a triple change in coming here for Frank Lampard. Looks like it is going to be Haji Wright, Victor Torp and Romain Esse, I think, are the three coming on here for Coventry in a moment. From what I can gather from the players on the bench there, getting themselves ready. Bobby Thomas with a loose ball there, hooked into the area, or the air. Couple of battles. Bit of head tennis, and Blackburn do really well at taking it down. It's Montgomery. Couldn't find Alibiosu, but goes back to Atchison. Ball out to Montgomery. Garner Hickman flicks it in behind. Alibiosu's away here again. Have another opportunity. And the cross cleared away by Bobby Thomas. But again, Alibiosu has been absolutely sensational in this game. He has torn Coventry to pieces at the back. He has been one hell of a thorn in the side of the Championship's top side. And with 30 minutes to go, it's his cross, it's his threat that has again got Blackburn with a corner. Lots of quality and threat in the box for Rovers. Right-footed delivery, swung in, headed on and directed off target. Atchison keeps it alive, flicked away. Back in it comes and away again it goes. As the ball will eventually drop to Carl Rushworth, who wants to unleash a runner in Jack Radoni, who sees it sail past his foot and out for a throw. And now trigger the changes. So, Romain Esse is going to replace Joel Latabaudiere. That's going to be the first change. So I think they're going to a back four. Now Coventry after playing a back three the whole night. We're going to see the introduction of Haji Wright for Ellis Sims. And also coming on is going to see Victor Torp replace Frank Onyeka, interestingly. So Latabaudiere, Sims and Onyeka all off. Haji Wright, Victor Torp and Romain Esse all on for Coventry. Attacking changes to try and change this game for Coventry City and Frank Lampard. A night where they only need a point to secure promotion. We're almost right from the off here involved. Haji Wright with a cutback. Hits it into the goalkeeper. Radoni keeps it alive. Flick back across and on to the roof of the nets. Via deflection. Corner. What an instant involvement here. Nice play by Radoni. Feeds it into Haji Wright, who does well to beat off his defender. Kicks it at the goalkeeper in taut as it drops back to Jack Radoni in the byline. His cross blocked behind for a corner, of which Radoni will take. The subs only on the pitch, and they're already making an impact. Radoni whips in the cross, the header, as it's cleared away, and that's nicely done by the goal scorer Morishita to play it off Jay De Silva and win Blackburn a throw. As it stands, it is Roya Morishita's goal that is the difference between the sides and the difference between party time for Coventry and a delaying of that party for those travelling supporters. One ball down the right flank for Blackburn, just evading the run of Ohashi. He has looked dangerous tonight, Yuki Ohashi, without much quality with the finish. A couple of real chances. He hit the crossbar, remember, in the first half. So Michael O'Neill's side have been the better team in the first hour of the match, but Coventry are a team that never give up, and usually the best sides who always leave their best stuff for late in the match. And with the quality off the bench that Coventry have to provide, could they do it again to snatch it away from Blackburn Rovers? Remember, this is the first goal that Blackburn have actually scored against Coventry since a 1-1 draw here back in April of 2023. They'd failed to score in any of the last 5 meetings between the two sides, at home or away, remember. And the scorer that day for Blackburn was Sam Gallagher. It's Roya Morishita today. Roya Morishita has actually been given a yellow card, as well as Gardner Hickman, both given yellow cards there. I'm not too sure what for, but they're both given bookings by the referee. 25 minutes to go. Time ticking away from Coventry. They get a little bit loose again. The ball drops to Morishita here. He's got options ahead. Lays it out wide to Alabiosu. Down the right hand flank. Alabiosu takes on De Silva. Alabiosu's cross whipped in. Wide by Thomas again. Drops. It's Garner Hickman trying to get on the end of it. Coventry scrambling to win the ball. Scrambling is the right word, although they've won it back and now got a little bit of space to exploit here themselves. Mason Clark swung round the corner. That's a lovely ball, a little bit heavy as it comes to Romain Esse. Onto his left foot shot. Blocked. Blackburn have done all night, really. Soaked up the pressure and been able to really eradicate Coventry's threat in the final third. Still without a shot on target, Coventry, in this game, which is an incredible job defensively from Blackburn Rovers. It's a mix of strong Blackburn defending and really poor attacking play from Coventry to this point. As I said, a side staring down the barrel at the minute of 3 games without a goal, which is a rarity for them, albeit quite comfortably the top scorers in the league. 84 goals they've scored in the Championship. That's a lovely ball by Alabiosu again, and another bit of desperate defending. And this time Kitching with the bit of defending puts it behind for another corner. And it's really bizarre how Coventry just cannot get a hold of Alabiosu down this right hand side. Another delightful delivery. Liam Kitching getting himself in the way of that one, but Hashi was the target. He's been absolutely on a different planet, Ryan Alabiosu, tonight. Down that right hand side for Blackburn. Run the show. And he's got them another corner. Low delivery and the flick on. Wasn't too far over the top there by Ohashi again. There's Michael O'Neill in conversation with his backroom staff just to see what they'll do for the final quarter of this game to try and hang on to this result. A result that would be, as I said, quite huge for Blackburn in the battle against relegation. They would be 7 clear of the drop zone with a win here tonight. As I said, albeit have played 2 games more than their respective opponents before the weekend's action. A trip to Sheffield, to Bramall Lane next week, and then a home game against Leicester at Ewood Park here on the final day is what would remain for Blackburn Rovers. Coventry. That's a lovely ball over the top though again. Ohashi making the run. Not finding their target. Coventry having to ride their luck a little bit as well here. You know, they need to be very careful, albeit that they're pushing for trying to get back into this game, but Blackburn are continuing to look a threat up the other end, and the last thing they need right now is to be more vulnerable, Coventry, than they've already been defensively. It's nicely done by Haji Wright, but again, no one there to pick up the loose ball for Coventry. Blackburn have been, I have to say, in terms of the 50-50s tonight, more 70-30s in the way that the Coventry have played, and how strong Blackburn have been at times. Oh, that's a cheap giveaway though by Gardner Hickman. Drops to Efren Mason-Clark, who's clogged up really well. Even that, they make a mistake, but there's 2 or 3 players right around the ball for Blackburn to try and close it down. Giving it away again here. Out to the right it comes, swung in from that channel by Van Evijk, cleared away. Flick on by Torp. Couldn't be taken in by Radoni, brought down by Grimes. Fizzed in and the flick on off the post and away from Haji Wright, who's going to see the flag go up for offside. Well, the woodwork denied Blackburn in the first half. Well, it's just denied Coventry a leveller here in the second. Jack Radoni with his head off the left post. See it here, it's just a little high for Radoni in the first one. Nicely recycled by Grimes and fizzed in, and Jack Radoni does really well with the quality of the header. Just hits the left post. Keeper was full stretch there, taut, and then it comes right round the back for Haji Wright, who was offside from the header. Another huge opportunity goes a begging for Coventry. Certainly probably their best of the game, I think. That chance. And that was his last chance, Jack Radoni. He's just been subbed off. And Brandon Thomas-Asante is on. So more fresh attacking legs for Coventry. They made 3 changes just around 5 minutes ago. Now made their 4th of the night. All attacking changes. And speaking of changes, Blackburn make their 1st of the night. Baraji has been taken off. And he has been replaced by Matthias Jorgensen, I believe. No, it's actually Ryan Hedges. Wrong number completely. So Ryan Hedges on for Musa Baraji for the final 19 minutes or so, and that's what Blackburn's Michael O'Neill was chatting with his backroom staff to figure out who they could bring on to see this game out for them at 1-0. They said their last home win was by a 1-0 scoreline, so they win by the odd goal quite often here at home. Torp. Van Evijk fired into the path of Brandon Thomas-Asante. Closed away from him as I wanted a foul there, Blackburn. Not going to get it. They do have the ball for the moment, and then there is going to be a Blackburn Rovers foul. It's going to go in their favour. Liam Kitching with the challenge. Just been frustrated at times as well, Coventry, tonight. I have to say, full credit to Blackburn. They've done an incredible job of just really not making it comfortable for Frank Lampard's team from any stretch of this game. And remember, this is a Coventry side still without a shot on target. Now it will be so Coventry to have one shot on target and score the equalising goal late on. That would be quite the story. So far, you can't really say that they've deserved more than what they've given, really. Coventry, they've been below par in the attacking areas and still yet to test Balazs Toth in the Blackburn goal. But here is Efren Mason-Clark. He was challenged late by Atchison. The referee, I think, said it was a fair challenge by Tom Atchison. He does well there. I think it is a foul, but just given the throw in there, did the referee. Here is Efren Mason-Clark. Swung in with a right foot and just over the head of a Coventry player in there. Couldn't quite see who it was, but a lovely delivery by Efren Mason-Clark, and it's actually Bobby Thomas That was throwing his head at that one. Ultimately comes to nothing as Todd gets his hands to it. But as we enter the final 16 and a half minutes, all they need is a goal. They've scored 84 of them this season. They know how to find the net, Coventry. And right when they need to find the net here, are they going to come up short again? Drew 0-0 away at Hull. They drew 0-0 at home to Sheffield Wednesday last week. Are they going to draw another blank? This time away from home, and would be a defeat as Efren Mason-Clark hits it wide of the left post from range. Drove it from range and drove it off a cliff with that sort of effort. Well, if an alien come down from space and asked who is the team fighting relegation and who is the team fighting for promotion tonight, you couldn't argue with the fact that they would think Blackburn would be the team at the top and Coventry were the team fighting against relegation the way that both sides have played tonight. That's how well Blackburn have played, how poor at times Coventry have been. It's been very uncharacteristic for this team this season. Right on the brink of joy, of celebration. They need someone to come up with a bit of magic late here to rescue that all-important point. Can they find the magic man? Or will they have to wait again a little bit longer? Remember, we do know it's when and not if. As we look at the stats, Blackburn the third most goals conceded from the 75th minute onwards in a game. 16 goals they've conceded in the last 15 minutes of games, Blackburn. So they're certainly not a side that keep it tight late. They leak a goal here and there. That's all Coventry need right now. There's a little bit of a helping hand and a goal to help them through. I thought we'd be saying that in the final 15 minutes of this one. De Silva down the left side finds Efren Mason-Clark, taking a run on at Alibiosu, who's doing a bit of defending for once tonight. Grimes, deep delivery, headed away, will bobble out for a Coventry throw in the far side. Remember, they're attacking the away end here, Coventry, in the second half, so they've got their fans behind this goal trying to force it in to help their team across the line, to give their team all they can to help this one through to the finish. Long deep throw, flicked on, headed away by a Blackburn defender, not very far though. Sally Biosu gets contact to the second one. Tore past the recycle. Down the right hand side it comes. Benevik trying to go early, takes a deflection, and Brandon Thomas Asante's shot right down the throat of the goalkeeper. Well, this is a stat that will certainly be an enjoyable one for Coventry fans to hear, counting for, of course, in the era of 3 points were a win in football. Coventry's 85 points they've picked up this season to this point is already their most in a single league campaign in the club's history, which is an incredible number for them. Of course, compared to the Championship title winners of last season, 100 points was the tally that the top two both finished on last season. That's a tally that will never be replicated, a situation that will surely never ever be replicated again. How competitive it was at the top. It went down to the final day in that game, in that battle between Leeds and Burnley for the title, and Leeds of course came out with the goods. One thing about one man on this field for Coventry later on, Haji Wright. He scored 16 goals in the Championship this season, his joint most in a single campaign for the club, which was also 16 in the 23-24 season. Only Victor Gyökeres has netted more than 16 times in a Championship season for the Sky Blues. They'd scored 21 goals in the 22-23 season and 17 goals in the 21-22 season for the current Arsenal striker. Adam Forshaw is going to replace Taylor Gardner-Hickman here for Blackburn. More experienced heads off the bench for Blackburn to try and get them over the line. Remember, the last time they beat Coventry Blackburn was when they won 4-0 back in 2020. Their last home win against Coventry was all the way back in 1997, can you believe? They also won that game 4-0 in January 1997 and haven't beaten Coventry at home in any of the last 8 games between the two sides. Albeit 6 of those games have ended in draws, including an FA Cup tie. Coventry have won twice, including their last trip to Ewood Park in January of 2025. They won 2-0 on that night. Ellis Sims and Brandon Thomas Asante with the 2 goals. But at the moment, it looks like they're going to draw a blank, unless there's some late drama in the final 10 minutes to save the night for Coventry City. At the moment, if this does end 1-0 to Blackburn, I don't think anybody of any persuasion can complain with that scoreline, because it would be reflective of the game and probably a little bit of a disservice to Blackburn and how well they've played and how many good chances they've created tonight, that they're only winning by a goal at this point. Coventry a little bit lucky that they are only 1-0 down. They could have been behind it at half-time. They weren't. And in the second half, Blackburn have created 2 big chances. They've scored one of them. The other one was off target. But other than that, Coventry have really struggled in the final third. It only takes one chance. Grimes' delivery. Headed away there by McLaughlin. Back to Grimes it comes. Feeds it down the left channel. De Silva's cross. Away from Brandon Thomas Asante. Brought down by Haji Wright. Thomas. Van Eyck now. Right to the right hand side for Esse. Waiting for the overlap. Van Eyck on that overlap. Swings it across and too close to Toth in the Blackburn goal, who gathers comfortably. Well, here's going to be a strange one. Toth held on to the ball too long. And of course, if you hold on to the ball for more than 8 seconds as the goalkeeper, the opposing team gets awarded a corner. So a corner to Coventry from nothing here. And is this a little bit of fortune that they need? Corner, left-hand side. Right-footed delivery, cleared away at the front post. Another wasted opportunity as Van Eyck recycles it. Swung back in deep. Again, Blackburn making the first contacts, and it's going to be off flag up for offside anyway against Coventry. And the referee being exclaimed at here by Toth. You have to say, it is in the rules. It's very clearly in the rules. You hold on to the ball for more than 8 seconds. The referee has no choice but to give a corner to the opposing team. Asante was upended there on the right flank. That's going to be a Coventry free kick. 6.5 minutes. The clock continues to tick away from the visitors. And the Sky Blues running out of time to rescue this. Brandon Thomas Asante does well though to win them a free kick here. Another set piece opportunity. Certainly got the quality and the height in there to get on the end of one of these crosses. It's about getting the right contact. Torp's delivery, right footed, swung in and headed in! Fantastic contact at the front post from Bobby Thomas, and Coventry have their leveller. That could be enough, will be enough to secure promotion. I said they needed a magic moment. They needed to find their magic man. Well, it looks like they've found him. It's sent the away end into bedlam at Ewood Park, and the dominant force from the back steps up to fire into the far corner from a set piece, and a leveller that no one has ever celebrated an equalising goal as well as that away end has just gone absolutely nuts. It's going to get him a yellow card, I think, Bobby Thomas, for the over celebration, but who really cares? Somebody's got their crutches in the air as well. Great delivery, right footed, swung in, and Bobby Thomas, powerhouse in the area, rises near a full body length above everybody else and glances it to the far corner. Keeper can only stand and watch as it sails past into the far corner, and what a huge goal that is at such a huge moment for Coventry City. That is 25 years in the waiting, that goal. And that seemingly will be the goal that restores top flight status to the Sky Blues. And look at that. They watch on from a distance as well. Those fans we've just seen pictures of. And that, I said it absolutely sent the away end into delirium. But incredible header, an incredible goal from Bobby Thomas. His third championship goal of the season. His first since he scored against Sheffield United back in November. And what a special moment to score it. There's always a star of the show in these clutch games, huge games at the end of the season. And you have to say, Blackburn will feel so annoyed about that goal. They will feel so gutted at the fact that they've conceded at such a late stage in the game. But that is, I don't want to say it yet, they're not champions yet, but they are the champions-elect, Coventry. They're nearly over that line too. But this is what the best do. Even when they were nowhere near it tonight, Coventry. They went a full 70 minutes without a shot on target. That really sums up how poor they've been in front of goal tonight. But it only takes one chance. I said it way early in the game. This is a Coventry team that can create a goal from nothing, even when it looks like it's going to avoid them. At every opportunity they create, doesn't go anywhere near the goal, or looks well off it. They've got the quality to find the right man in the right spot at the right time to deliver an incredible moment. Another question is, now that they've secured a leveller, maybe they want to go and complete the job that would really destroy Blackburn Rovers' evening. That for quite a long time in this second half has looked like being a pretty nice evening for Blackburn. Remember, if they'd have won tonight, they would go 7 clear of the relegation zone. A draw would still put them 5 clear of Oxford United in the drop zone. But remember, if every team below them wins their next 2 games, Blackburn would be in the bottom 3 Mathematically, that's how it would work, because it would only be a 5-point gap. But still, they will fight on. Even if they'd have won this game tonight, Blackburn Rovers, which is still not out of the question, remember. They could still snatch a goal again, but has been all Coventry for the last 10-15 minutes. With such need to score that equaliser. They found it, and now Jay De Silva wins a corner out of Atchison. Maybe they want to win it all. Now look at that. Raw emotion from the away end. Tears streaming from faces who've maybe never seen their team in this position before. On the verge of being a top flight side. 25 years ago in 2001 when they were relegated, a Coventry fan put up a sign saying, "We'll be back." Well, now, 25 years later, a quarter of a century on, nearly quite a lot of those away fans have their banners out saying, "We're back." Well, they're a few minutes away from that being a reality once more. As Efren Mason-Clark is replaced by Josh Eccles. The final change of the evening for Coventry. And something tells me there's going to be no movement from that away end in terms of leaving this stadium at the final whistle as it stands. Victor Torp to take the corner. Right-footed delivery. Swung around and all the way through and out the other end. Bobby Thomas again getting on the end of that one. That one well off targets. 5 minutes then. 5 minutes away from the promised land. 5 minutes away from ending a 25-year wait. I mean, it has to be what I don't think I've ever seen a team celebrate an equalising goal like Coventry did there. But that's what it means. Something special about waiting so long for something you've so longed for. Coventry, who spent almost 3 decades in the Premier League and the top flight of English football, and they spent the guts of 2.5 decades occupying every EFL league there was, the Championship, League One, and even a season in League Two along the way. What a long and windy roller coaster it has been for Coventry City, up and down through all those years. And a return to the Championship in 2020 has sparked a new decade and a very new feeling around Coventry City Football Club. A return to the CBS Arena, a return to their home, a new owner, a fresh new leaf turned over at Coventry. A club reborn, and it looks like they're going to be back where they seemingly belong, at the top table of English football again. 3 minutes left on the clock. I have to say, an away end that, to their credit tonight, have not stopped. And I think they could go very long into the night. Maybe they're kind of happy that this is a Friday night game. And they can celebrate long into the night. And maybe they'll have more to celebrate. Just remember, they might be just days away from being crowned champions as well, if things go their way and in their favour. However, there's still 2 minutes of added time to go. And Blackburn might have a chance to steal it from Coventry here. Tried the cross, which was blocked and cleared away. As we're into the 94th minute of 95. Less than 2 minutes to go as Torp intercepts in his own half. Went down under a challenge. Referee said it wasn't a foul. That's really well done by Eccles. Feeds it back to Matt Grimes. Grimes, the captain. A captain who led his side to Wembley 3 years ago in their push under Mark Robins, of course, to try and get to the Premier League through the playoffs. They fell away to Luton on penalties in that game. 2 years later, they were back in the playoffs under Frank Lampard last season. Lost to the eventual playoff winners, Sunderland, in the semi-finals. This season, as I've said all season, they've been a cut above the rest. The best of the best. And they're going to be back. At the objective at the start of the season would have been fighting for promotion. Well, they have made it very little to fight for, really, when it comes to who they've been facing at the top. The clock continues to dwindle away, but this time in a good way for Coventry. And this is how close they are. In terms of Blackburn Rovers, what an incredible game they've given tonight. What an incredible job they've done. They probably deserve 3 points, but when Coventry are fighting like they are for a point at least, it was always going to be tough later on. But Blackburn, credit to them, they do not look like a side that should be playing League One football next season. And I don't think if they play like this between now and the end of the campaign with their final 2 games, they should be okay. Well, the final whistle goes, and the 25-year wait is over. Coventry City are a Premier League team once again for the first time since 2001. Coventry are back in the top flight. They've travelled the roller coaster of the EFL from the Championship, League 1, League 2, and all the way back to the top again. To the Premier League they go. This roller coaster at its peak, really, and Frank Lampard delivering joy to those Coventry City fans again after a once in a generation moment for them it has been. They've seen their club fall into the doldrums over the last 2.5 decades, and they dared to dream this season. And what an incredible job this team have done all season. Best of the best. They're not quite champions yet, but like it was with their promotion push, it feels like when rather than if for Coventry. They certainly haven't been their best tonight, but in the end they didn't need their best. They just needed a magic moment from Bobby Thomas to deliver that levelling goal late on against Blackburn to secure that crucial point they needed to be promoted. An incredible feat for Coventry City. And that away end, full of emotion, full of happy tears, full of smiles, and full of absolute joy. They have had many dark days, Coventry, but it is about time they've saw their Sky Blues face the good times again. And Frank Lampard has delivered that. They thought it was going to be, and it was, last season, another season where they just fell short in the playoffs. Well, this season, they have deservedly strode their way through this 24 championship sides, and they are seemingly making themselves out to be the best. As the away end sing, "We are going up," say, "We are going up." Well, they are going up, Coventry. That is confirmed. Frank Lampard's delivered it. This Coventry team have delivered it for those fans who've waited so long for this moment. Just to confirm again, it's finished Blackburn 1, Coventry 1. They've delivered that magical point that's returned them to the Premier League for the first time in 25 years. Incredible. Incredible. And Matt Grimes and Bobby Thomas, of course Matt Grimes the captain, and Bobby Thomas the scorer of the equalising goal for Coventry, are currently giving their thoughts as we have a look at the table, just to really show what this really means in terms of the tally at the top. There you have it. Coventry confirmed 86 points, 13 clear of third place Millwall, which guarantees their promotion. Ipswich in second, 11 points behind, which means if Ipswich lose against Middlesbrough on Sunday, they would be just a 1 point away from being champions, Coventry. So they're not quite there yet, but they're very, very close. And maybe, just maybe, Tuesday night will be that night for them. And maybe it is just a little bit poetic, because if they win on Tuesday night and maintain an 11-point gap on Ipswich, then it would be certain. And in the home, a place that they call home, the CBS Arena, would be where they would be crowned champions on Tuesday if all goes in their favour. And that will be quite poetic. The next two games are actually at home, so it is very, very likely they will be crowned champions at home. And if they were, of course, to be crowned champions before the final day, which seems, again, very likely, they will get that trophy on that home game against Wrexham on Sunday the 26th of April, which is, at the moment, just 9 days away, which feels like, minuscule amount of time, considering the amount of time that they have waited for it all to come back to them. Right, so that has confirmed it. Blackburn 1, Coventry 1 is the first scoreline of the weekend in the EFL Championship, and it is the crucial scoreline that Coventry needed to send them back to the top flight. And look at that away end, absolutely packed to the rafters, and are not going anywhere anytime soon, those travelling away fans. And I have to say, there's just nothing like this in football. 25 years is such a long time to wait for anything, but they've had to wait such a long time. And remember, as I said at the start of the night, 8 years ago, this team were in League 2. 8 years ago, the 2017-18 season, they were a League 2 side, Coventry. They were back to the Championship within 2 years. They kicked off a new era at Coventry City. They got their new owner. They returned home to the CBS Arena. And looks like, over the last few years of disappointment and falling at the final hurdle a few times in the playoffs, they've gone and strode away from everybody else and got themselves back to the Premier League for the first time in 25 years. Well, that is just the start of the run-in that kicks off this weekend on LFS, and what a weekend we have for you. 5 Premier League games between now and Wednesday evening, and it all starts tomorrow lunchtime at the G-Tech Community Stadium as Brentford take on Fulham at 12:30 tomorrow. A huge game of the weekend, the title decider. It could be on Sunday at 4:30 as Man City take on Arsenal at the Etihad. Crystal Palace face West Ham on Monday night in a London derby at Sellers Park as West Ham fight against relegation. Brighton and Chelsea both go on for European football. They play at the Amex on Tuesday night, and it all concludes on Wednesday evening. Our 5 days running of Premier League football at Turf Moor on Wednesday night as Burnley, who could be relegated come that point, face Manchester City Wednesday at 8 o'clock. And the run-in begins there. It all starts here, where we will conclude the season on LFS. But we will leave you tonight to say that Coventry are back in the Premier League. They're going up, and they might be going up as champions. They're not just there yet, but they're very, very close. They're promoted, and they're back in the top flight for the first time since 2001. Thanks for your company tonight, and we leave you with this ad about the run-in, and we'll see you again tomorrow night.
Remember, you don't get it twice. The time of your life.